Alex, a lawyer and a financial advisor walk into a bar.
And then what happens, Dave?
Well, the question says, time off. How do you switch off from your business?
Time off, eh? That's a foreign concept, I think, to a lot of business owners. They might shut down maybe for a week or two over Christmas, but even then, they're probably on their phone the whole time, right?
So, yeah, I reckon it's I agree. I think, but I do think people are starting to get to this discipline. If we talk about that Christmas break, a lot of places are saying everyone else is shut. Let's just shut for a couple of weeks. So it's a forced component.
Yeah.
But it is also, I think, sometimes there's a lot in people scheduling time off in their year.
Yeah.
And it might be just a week or try and work out and to use that time away from your business to see how you can improve your business, because you flip it on the basis that, well, if I'm there, the business is meant to be serving me, not the other way around. Therefore, by me being away on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But that's like taking holidays and having a break is one aspect. Sometimes people just need a bit of, so we can talk about a bit more about that, but also just, some people have a hobby that they like to do.
Yeah.
It might be golf on a Wednesday.
Yeah, well, that goes to switching off. I think sometimes people, if you just go, I know for a while I was going to, take some time off work, and I just did that at home. And when I went home, I just got sucked back into the home office, and I just ended up answering emails just for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So, unless I had to go and do something, and if I was doing something, if you're out of your house and you're doing whatever it is, you're playing golf or you're driving your car or you're at lunch or whatever the hobby might be or your recreation is, that takes your mind off work, and then you actually do switch off.
And that's where I think sometimes also with that, the capacity is that you need to, this is my personal view. Yeah. So the topic we're talking about today is time off and how do you switch off from your business.
Yeah.
Now, for some people, that might be something very early in the morning, or it might be, an afternoon or a day a week that they like to do stuff. But I do think a lot of that time to switch off is that you're doing an activity or something but you're very focused on that activity. You have to be in the moment.
Yes.
Now, that can be a sport or a recreation or something else. Like if you're playing golf, if anyone has played golf, like I'm a horrible golfer.
Yep.
I like it for the social aspect. But if you're not concentrating on trying to hit that ball and you're thinking about something else, you're nowhere.
Yeah,
if you're out surfing, you're not concentrating. You've got to concentrate on what you're doing. If you're swimming, you need to be concentrating. And I know there's a couple of people that love to do motor racing, like the little Hyundais, or they might be in some other cars, or motorbike racing.
Oh, you get an eye on it if you're in motorbike racing.
Absolutely. Like you need to be focused on where you are at the moment, and you're not thinking about other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting period when people say, it's like trying to get someone who says, "Oh, I'm so tired." It's like, yeah, but I just went for a run. And they come back and they feel fantastic.
Yeah. So, there's a tired and there's exhausted and there's, mentally exhausted and physically.
Correct.
They're all different things. I think it is interesting. We're talking about taking time off. There's the taking the time. So there's time away where work is either shut or you're not there. So there's that aspect. Then there's the kind of the aspect of it that you might be away but still answering your emails the whole time, so you're not actually away. You're not,
Correct.
You're not mentally shut.
You're just out of the office or the factory.
The office stressing out. And sometimes if I'm having, doing some challenging stuff at work, if I try and take some time off, the time off stresses me out more than actually just being. Sometimes for me, I'm better off just going into the office and dealing with whatever it is that is worrying me or perhaps is exciting me. Whatever it is happening at work, I'm better off just dealing with it because I can't let it go. Some things, and some things I can. But it's no good having time away from the office if you're just answering emails the whole time. Anyway,
but that also then comes back to the issue of it. Getting that time off it really actually needs to be scheduled into your diary.
Yeah.
But also to be aware, rather than just saying, I'm just going to take tomorrow off. What are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. I'll work it out when I get up in the morning.
That track. Yeah, I'll work it out and I'll just have a day at home, pottering around. And you just end up working again.
Or you get bored.
Catching up with you do the washing or whatever, which isn't switching off, which is what we're talking about, switching off.
Correct.
Yeah, not being at work, but switching off. And the laundry is meditative in its own way. It really depends on your kind of personality. Another aspect of it, I think that what you touched on just before, which I think is really interesting, and it's certainly a big learning from me, is when you're away from your business and when you're actually switched off, what happens to your business? You know, does your business collapse? Because is it all reliant on you? And if it does, what collapsed, and can you fix that? You know, does your business thrive? Maybe you're the bottleneck at work, and when you're not there, you know, there's no problems. Maybe a bit of
you said that when you went on your last junket, the business actually performed exceptionally well with you away.
I did not love that. Yeah, that's you kind of hope that you're adding a bit of value, and I know for me, I think I don't do much. Like most of what I do, hopefully, has some long-term benefits, and the short-term doesn't move the needle, so to speak. So if I'm away for a short period, it doesn't affect the business, and I hope that if I was away for a long time, that the business would suffer, or at least there'd be some value that I'm adding. Maybe, I mean,
but see, that's the point, though, isn't it? Because that's a mindset issue. Yeah. As the owner of the business, is to get your business to scale to a particular point that says, okay, I am, I'm leading the business, I'm doing other stuff, but I've got a team in the business that functions. I enjoy being there, so it's not like I want to, disappear for 6 months. But it might be that you start to scale the business and you take, a couple of days here, and then it might be a week, and then you increase it to a 2-week period because you also want to get maybe a salary cycle or a month end cycle. So you progressively build that, then other people are taking over and doing part of that stuff, which means that then it functions. And also when you're giving that responsibility across to another person, sometimes they will still come up with the same outcome, but they might take a slightly different path. But they also may much really, love doing that, because there's always jobs that we do as business owners that we go, I know I have to do it because, I'm not willing to give it to someone else yet, but it's not a job you love to do. Whereas if you can find people that love doing the job that you don't, so it comes back to the old analogy of, who can help me, the who, not how. Who can help me? I don't need to know how to do certain things. I know what the outcome needs to be. And so therefore, this is also the aspect around the structure around stepping away and taking time away from the business, because it can support you long term as you continue. But I think a lot of the time it is the owner's mindset that, I couldn't possibly survive without me.
So standing in the way, and possibly standing in the way of the development of the people.
Yeah.
And then learning the skills and also, as you said, which is a great point, I thought, learning to do it their own way. The reality is you can't turn people into carbon copies of yourself.
Correct.
And I've certainly sometimes, when I've come back and gone, that all went bad, and I see the email trail or whatever, and that all went bad. And then, but at the end, everybody's happy again. And I think, okay, well, they solved that. They solved it in a different way than I did. And
Yep.
Me to hear it. Because I thought, this is all going to go very bad because, but the reality is people have their own style, and they might create some problems that I wouldn't create, but they might also avoid some problems that I would have created myself.
Yeah, and sometimes they might have gone the extra lap in trying to work it through, but they've got the answer. But also, I think there's a point that there's a lot that talks about, the expectations of people and accepting the fact that, is 85% your 100%.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Someone's may not do it quite as well as you do, but is 85% a level where you're that's okay. Let's ship it. Like it's ready to go. It's not perfect, but it's at a level that is adequate and appropriate.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of that in business. A lot of business, you're making 100 decisions a day, and they don't all need to be right. They all just need to get done. And by not making decisions, you're causing a bottleneck and you're slowing things down. And you can fix things if they're wrong, but that's certainly true. There's certain things that require obviously the best 100% quality. There's plenty that don't, and I think it is a mindset thing of the owner that they sort of think, well, you've got to do it my way. It's my business.
So what have you seen people do that gives them energy and time away from their business?
Yeah, so a lot of people say, I want to spend time with my family, and then they never do.
Or if they do, they're like, can I come back? I love them dearly, but they're driving me bloody mad. Whingy bloody kids.
I got a driving holiday with my whole family. That sounds good.
No, I reckon that's where you've got to drive and they can fly up because you get a couple of days on your
Oh,
own
yeah,
with a bit of peace and quiet. Yeah,
all the boys used to
yeah,
drive up and the girls used to fly up,
yeah,
and
yeah,
quite good. But most of my clients, when they switch off successfully, and I've got to say, a lot of them don't, and a lot of them really feel like they can't switch off until they sell their business, and then they do, and it's a bit sudden, and that goes back to what you were saying before about doing it gradually, which I think is great advice. But most of them, when they successfully switch off, it's doing something. It's doing a hobby. So
Yep.
it's something that they're passionate about. It's swimming. It's often it's sport. Not always. It might be going to the horse racing and putting a bet on or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
Most of the time, it's them doing something that they're keen on. I even got a client who was doing his masters. In an area that he's just interested in, not to do with the business, because he likes studying, believe it or not. So, writing his thesis or whatever is his private time where he's, in his happy place. So it really is. That doesn't sound great to me. Enough studying, and I don't want to do any more.
Yeah.
They're all. It's mainly I find people pursuing their passions, their life passions. And often, when I talk about spending time with their family, certainly I found grandparents spending time with their grandchildren.
Yes.
They really revitalising, and they really find that switching off. So when maybe it's not their own kids, but when their grandkids come along, and they might have a different perspective on life then. But yeah, generally I think people don't switch off unless they're pursuing their passion for something. And one of the problems that business owners that I deal with have is some of them don't have a passion for anything, or at least they don't.
Yeah. And I think that's that. Yeah, that's definitely one of those issues that you've got to kind of encourage. And look, that's a discussion we have. I have that discussion with myself and with clients as well. That you've got to think of something else that you like to do that's outside of the business. I mean, you can be passionate with your business because you just enjoy it. Like it,
Yeah, that's great.
You do. It's fun and there's things that are changing the whole time. But it is, if you're putting in the time where you're blocking stuff out to take some time away to get revitalized a bit.
Yep.
You do need to find something that you really enjoy doing.
Yep.
And that is an interesting one. I mean, we've got a whole range of things that I know of people that, it can be, some of them will want to go away camping for a week and they'll go on their own and they might go for a hike.
Right. Wow.
And so they'll go independently and they'll just do stuff. Or, they might go to, if they've got a country property, they might go to the property and they just want to do the physical kind of work. They might chop wood, or they might, get the chainsaw out, or they, they've got an interest that means that it is completely away from what they're doing, which can be, it could be woodwork. It can, as I said, it can be something to do with a farm, or it might even be just a holiday house that they then slowly renovate, or whatever it is on that basis. Even just going for a walk along the beach. I agree. There's a lot of people that will have, they may do some exercise in the morning, which is some time to give them. But I think it's got to be more than just, I go for a ride or a swim in the morning and then I go into the job. Yeah. I think part of it is also that extended period and progressively building it.
Yes.
And to be honest, I think females are better at it than males.
Yeah.
In certain areas.
Yeah.
Like I think they entertain themselves on that sort of.
Yeah.
area.
And they're better, I think, at maintaining friendships than men. Men often, don't have an extended group to go and share, to play golf with, or to go and do things with. When I go out and about, and you see groups together, often it's couples, but when it's not couples, it's groups of women, not groups of men. You know what I mean? Like maybe at the golf club it might be slightly different, but in most places, it's women who get together and catch up and keep socially connected.
Yep.
Often share interests that men I think are slower to do.
Well, you can see. Look at the success of the men's shed.
Yes, yeah.
And I think a lot of that has been because people have, their purpose was to go to work. And they enjoyed it, or they may not have enjoyed it, but they still had to go.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they finished. They're like, but what do I do now? Like, I think, years ago I got some advice from an individual who said, you really got to try and find something that you're passionate about in your 40s.
Yeah.
And to start building towards that so you can transition into that.
Yeah, right.
And it is something. And look, you see these classic cars, blokes will restore a car, or they'll become part of a car club, and so it might be a Sunday, or it's those sorts of things that can be very left field. As you said, that individual that was, they like to study.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'd rather. I like to learn
Yeah.
new things, but the idea of doing structured study I find
Yeah.
quite boring.
Yeah.
I like to go and explore stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I'd
but
like to go to Europe, but I don't really want to learn about European history. You
no.
might learn it while you're in the castle or whatever, in the gallery or whatever, or at the vineyard, even better. Yeah, I mean, what I thought was interesting though is when he said he's doing his masters, I thought, oh, he had been MBA. He's like, no, history. Oh, okay. Any history? There's nothing to do with work. I thought that was really cool.
Well, I must admit, I quite like a lot of philosophy stuff. You know, there's
Yeah,
different books that I've read and philosophy of
yeah,
life, and it's interesting how I don't know whether I'm picking up on it because it's a bit like the feed that you get on some of your social media stuff,
yeah,
and the ads. You do a Google search, and all of a sudden keep seeing all of these things coming up
yeah,
and telling you that there's a new holiday or there's a new pair of shoes or something.
yeah,
I just find with some of this philosophy, with so many of the mental health issues out there,
yeah,
that people are constantly on the whole time.
yeah, yeah,
And so, therefore, the philosophical side and the philosophers over the years in the ancient Greek times,
yeah,
there were just some really basic stuff that they were doing. And I think this comes back to the issue around having some time off. You do need to switch off. You turn your phone off. You do this.
yeah,
And look, some people don't like being on their own. Other
mm,
people, they really thrive on being surrounded by people. But
mm,
whatever floats your
mm,
boat, I don't
mm,
really care. But I think it's important
mm,
that people do
mm.
back away from
Yeah,
what they're doing to come back refreshed. I mean, you hear of people that say, "Oh, I've just been as a grind. The business is this, and I've just look. It's probably the worst time to take, but it's the school holidays, and
yeah,
the partner booked the holiday, and look, we're due to go to so and so for a couple of weeks, and I
yeah,
can't get out of it." And then they
yeah,
come back and go, "How was the break?" Oh my
yeah,
God, I just feel so much better. I've just
yeah,
had a
yeah.
great 2 weeks.
You just had some time.
I've really
Yeah,
had a chance to switch off. I
yeah,
turned my phone off. I
yeah,
didn't really look at a lot of stuff. And also, when you're in on an international holiday, that can also help. I know some people say I always take, a 2 or a 4 week international holiday every year in a place where I can't get access to my phone and stuff
yeah, yeah.
for that very reason. And they say I come back refreshed every time.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that interesting? I'm a member of, and I'll just plug the Family Business Association, a member of the Family Business Association, and I do there's a group we meet once a month, a group of different businesses, and we go around the table and, say how we've been going that month against our goals and all that sort of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
personally, family-wise, and business-wise.
Yep.
And it's a great thing. And I found it very helpful. So if anyone's in a family business out there, I would recommend it. But we start off with 3 words of how we describe that month. And now we had to introduce a rule that at least one of the words has to be positive.
Yeah.
Because we're finding everyone was frustrated, tired, over it. The words that kept coming up were all
Yep.
negative. And you think,
Yep.
well, hey, this is pretty bad. Like a bunch of people who are they're all quite honest and they're bearing their kind of vulnerable side.
And successful.
Absolutely, yes, successful, absolutely, and they're finding running a business really hard. And the only time we really get 2, or sometimes the only time I think we ever got 3 words that were all positive, were when somebody's just been back from holidays.
Yeah.
I was just saying that the secret to running being happy while you're running a business is not making X dollars or employing this person. Or it's having enough holidays. It's having a break. That's when things got positive for them.
Correct. And this is where it comes back to the business is there to serve you. So therefore, and look, there's businesses at different stages and it's can be lip service and it's bloody hard. Like it's so easy to say, I'll just book a holiday and go. Yeah, but depending on what your kids are doing and their certain ages and school and everything else, but
might need you that time, and you're going to lose all of the work that you put into it for years because you've buggered off on a holiday. So sometimes that's not realistic.
But it is working towards that and understanding that you do forward plan on some of this stuff and say, right, and look, it could be 18 months out that you do a longer break. But even those little wedges, it might be a Friday and a Monday and you take a 4-day weekend with your partner.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you just literally, I just need a break. We're just going to go away for a couple of days. Perfect. It's a bit like, let's just say to a guy years ago, he would, I've got 4 kids and it was always pretty full on. But there were some days you would walk into the house and my wife had been at home all day with the kids and jeepers, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So credit to her, and there'd be crap everywhere.
Yeah.
But you sometimes just walk in. It doesn't, you don't have to give them a drink, but you just go to the fridge. You might open up a bottle of wine and open it and pour it for them and break what's been going on, the monotony of the day for her, to then turn around and then go, right, let's do something a little bit. And it just changes the whole dynamic because someone's broken what was the regular routine of, I get up, I do some exercise, I go to the business, I do that, I come home, and on and on and on. To all of a sudden, I'm going to go and do something that it's a bit like, I knew I could. There's never a good time. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. There's never a good time to go on something. There's never a good time to have a child. There's never a good time to start a business. There's never, let's look on the other side and go, you know what, this will be great. Let's just have a break and I'll probably come back fresh, and some of the problems that I might have are not as big as I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I read something a while back which really helped me, which they talk about little happies, medium happies, and big happies. And they say that you basically should work out what it is, what small things you like in your life. Like might be having a cup of coffee on your own in the morning, reading the paper. Might be whatever small, it might be having a chat with your best mate on the phone or whatever. The small things that make you happy, and then the medium things might be, going away for the weekend or whatever, and the big things might be a big long holiday. And you've got to map those out, write them down, and then put them in your calendar.
Yes.
Because they're the things that you want to do in your life. And if your life should be scheduled around those things, if possible, not around your business, and just go, well, so, you schedule in every morning, I'm going to, spend half an hour reading the paper and having a coffee. And, every week I'm going to go and have dinner with my best mate or whatever it is. And they say you should always be working towards a big happy. So that might be a holiday or moving house or starting a business, changing, whatever it is, the big thing that you want to achieve in your life. And it seems simple and sort of silly, but I really found it very helpful because you just pop stuff in your diary, and then suddenly, and for me, it's a walk. Every morning I walk along the river, and on the way I get a coffee. And, walking along the river, coffee, sunshine, happy times, chatting away. It's a small thing, but it improves your life.
It starts your day properly.
Yeah. So working on something, like a long holiday, I think at all times it's nice to have a holiday to look forward to, right?
Well, this is like you talk. So that sort of stuff is, the stuff that Dan Sullivan talks about from Strategic Coach. But they book in. I can't remember the number of days it is, but it's like 6. Everyone gets 6 weeks a year. Yeah. But they at the beginning of and you're almost doing it on an 18-month rolling period. Yeah. You block in the times in your diary, and you are not there for those periods. You just block it out, and it's done. People have to work around that.
Yeah. Which, as we say, if you're running a healthy business, with a good way of testing your business to see if you can't do without you for 2 hours, then that's a problem.
Yeah, that's not a business.
It's what you can, and then maybe it does it without you for 3 hours in a day, and so on. And if you do step by step, it's actually improving your business in the process. So you might be working less, and your business might be worth more and more, and working better as a result of you working less, not more, which is the goal, right?
Correct. Yeah. So like a really interesting concept that I think a lot of people, I think sometimes people don't appreciate the importance of getting that spread, and I think part of it has been mobile communication. As much as it's great, we're all connected. Yeah, but there's also part of that problem is that you don't disconnect.
No. Yeah,
and there's an expectation.
Working from home, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So all those things do add up until you sort of you're sitting on the edge of your seat. I know for me personally, I don't feel it. I don't feel like I need a break. But then when I have a break, I suddenly feel like a much better version of myself appears. After it usually takes a week or two. It doesn't happen in a day or two, but you sort of switch off and you think, oh, hang on, I'm not angry about that anymore.
I reckon that was this. Yeah. So we're in 2023.
Yeah.
So it's August 2023. But when the January of 2023, sort of December, January period, I had a month off, and I know a lot of people that had 3 to 4 weeks off in that summer period, that they all came back and said, I didn't realise how much I needed that break, because the previous year was still a lot of COVID issues and people were still a bit on edge. They came back from that break and said, oh, my God, that was just the best break. I've just enjoyed having a holiday, and I didn't realise how
Yeah.
exhausted I was
Yes. Yeah.
emotionally and mentally and physically that I just needed a couple of weeks to switch off.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
well,
become a regular now for me. I just book in 4 weeks at Christmas.
good on you. Yeah, well, I think that's a good place to leave it. Take a break. You think you probably need it, and particularly post-COVID and all that stuff, I think
Yep.
a lot of people are wound pretty tight. We're certainly finding some of our clients are sort of crankier than they normally are, and I think it's really just that everyone's been through a long, difficult time, and it's easy just to ignore that you need some time off and proper time off where you switch off.
Yep. But life's to be enjoyed, so keep
Mm.
enjoying it and work out what
Mm.
gives you that joy.
Yeah.
All right, well, Alex, once again, magnificent. You know, the dulcet tones of Alex Martin. Here we go. So we'll close out our conversation today, and I'd like to thank Alex from Taurus Legal Management. He can be contacted via LinkedIn at Alex Martin or via the website tauruslawyers.com.au.
Thanks, Dave. I'd like to thank David Murdoch, the wealth activist from Paxton Bridge. You can contact him at David Murdoch on LinkedIn or at paxtonbridge.com.
Excellent. Cheers. Thank you, Alex, and we shall chat again.
See you next time. Thank you.